Himeji Castle is a hilltop Japanese castle complex located in Himeji, in Hyōgo Prefecture, Japan. The castle is regarded as the finest surviving example of prototypical Japanese castle architecture, comprising a network of 83 buildings with advanced defensive systems from the feudal period. The castle is frequently known as Hakuro-jō or Shirasagi-jō because of its brilliant white exterior and supposed resemblance to a bird taking flight. Himeji Castle dates to 1333, when Akamatsu Norimura built a fort on top of Himeyama Hill. The fort was dismantled and rebuilt as Himeyama Castle in 1346, and then remodeled into Himeji Castle 2 centuries later. Himeji Castle was then significantly remodeled in 1581 by Toyotomi Hideyoshi, who added a 3-story castle keep. In 1600, Tokugawa Ieyasu awarded the castle to Ikeda Teramata for his help in the Battle of Sekigahara, and Ikeda completely rebuilt the castle from 1601 to 1609, expanding it into a large castle complex. Several buildings were later added to the castle complex by Honda Tadamata from 1617 to 1618. For over 400 years, Himeji Castle has remained intact, even throughout the extensive bombing of Himeji in World War II and natural disasters such as the 1995 Great Ansan earthquake. Himeji Castle is the largest and most visited castle in Japan, and it was registered in 1993 as one of the first UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the country. The area within the middle moat of the castle complex is a designated special historic site, and 5 structures of the castle are also designated national treasures. Along with Matsumoto Castle and Kumamoto Castle, Himeji Castle is considered one of Japan's 3 premier castles. In order to preserve the castle buildings, it underwent restoration work for several years and reopened to the public on March 27, 2015. The works also removed decades of dirt and grime, restoring the formerly grey roof to its original brilliant white color. History. Himeji Castle's construction dates to 1333, when a fort was constructed on Himeyama Hill by Akamatsu Norimura, the ruler of the ancient Harima province. In 1346, his son Sadanori demolished this fort and built Himeyama Castle in its place. In 1545, the Kuroda clan was stationed here by order of the Kodara clan, and feudal ruler Kuroda Shigetaka remodeled the castle into Himeji Castle, completing the work in 1561. In 1580, Kuroda Yoshitaka presented the castle to Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and in 1581 Hideyoshi significantly remodeled the castle, building a 3-story keep with an area of about 55 square meters. Following the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600, Tokugawa Ieyasu granted Himeji Castle to his son-in-law Ikeda Teramata. As a reward for his help in battle, Ikeda demolished the 3-story keep that had been created by Hideyoshi and completely rebuilt and expanded the castle from 1601 to 1609, adding 3 moats and transforming it into the castle complex that is seen today. The expenditure of labor involved in this expansion is believed to have totaled 25 million man-days. Ikeda died in 1613, passing the castle to his son, who also died 3 years later. In 1617, Honda Tadamasa and his family inherited the castle, and Honda added several buildings to the castle complex, including a special tower for his daughter-in-law, Princess Sen. In the Meiji period, many Japanese castles were destroyed. Himeji Castle was abandoned in 1871 and some of the castle corridors and gates were destroyed to make room for Japanese army barracks. The entirety of the castle complex was slated to be demolished by government policy, but it was spared by the efforts of Nakamura Shigeto, an army colonel. A stone monument honoring Nakamura was placed in the castle complex within the first gate, the Hishi Gate. Although Himeji Castle was spared, Japanese castles had become obsolete and the preservation was costly. When the Han feudal system was abolished in 1871, Himeji Castle was put up for auction. The castle was purchased by a Himeji resident for 23 Japanese yen. The buyer wanted to demolish the castle complex and develop the land, but the cost of destroying the castle was estimated to be too great, and it was again spared. Himeji was heavily bombed in 1945, at the end of World War II, and although most of the surrounding area was burned to the ground, the castle survived intact. One firebomb was dropped on the top floor of the castle but failed to explode. In order to preserve the castle complex, substantial repair work was undertaken starting in 1956, with a labor expenditure of 250,000 man-days and a cost of 550 million yen. In January 1995, the city of Himeji was substantially damaged by the Great Hansen earthquake, but Himeji Castle again survived virtually undamaged, demonstrating remarkable earthquake resistance. Even the bottle of sake placed on the altar at the top floor of the keep remained in place. Historical recognition. Himeji Castle was registered on December 11, 1993 as one of the first UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Japan. 5 structures of the castle are also designated national treasures: Main Keep, Northwest Small Keep, West Small Keep, East Small Keep, and Ni corridors and kitchen. The area within the middle moat of the castle complex is a designated special historic site. Along with Matsumoto Castle and Kumamoto Castle, Himeji Castle is considered one of Japan's 3 premier castles. It is the most visited castle in Japan, receiving over 2,860,000 visitors in 2015. Starting in April 2010, Himeji Castle underwent restoration work to preserve the castle buildings, and reopened to the public on March 27, 2015. Design details. Himeji Castle is the largest castle in Japan. It serves as an excellent example of prototypical Japanese castle architecture, containing many of the defensive and architectural features associated with Japanese castles. The curved walls of Himeji Castle are sometimes said to resemble giant fans, but the principal materials used in the structures are stone and wood. Feudal family crests are installed throughout the architecture of the building, signifying the various lords that inhabited the castle throughout its history. The Himeji Castle complex is located in the center of Himeji, Hyōgo, on top of a hill called Himeyama, which is 45.6 meters above sea level. The castle complex comprises a network of 83 buildings such as storehouses, gates, corridors, and turrets. Of these 83 buildings, 74 are designated as important cultural assets, 11 corridors, 16 turrets, 15 gates, and 32 earthen walls. The highest walls in the castle complex have a height of 26 meters. Joining the castle complex is Kokoen Garden, a Japanese garden created in 1992 to commemorate Himeji City's 100th anniversary. From east to west, the Himeji Castle complex has a length of 950 to 1,600 meters, and from north north to south. It has a length of 900 to 1,700 meters. The castle complex has a circumference of 4,200 meters. It covers an area of 233 hectares, making it roughly 50 times as large as the Tokyo Dome, 60 times as large as Koshien Stadium. Main keep at the center of the complex is 46.4 meters high, standing 92 meters above sea level. Together with main keep, three smaller subsidiary keeps form a cluster of towers. Externally, the keep appears to have 5 floors, because the second and third floors from the top appear to be a single floor. However, it actually has 6 floors and a basement. The basement of main keep has an area of 385 square meters, and its interior contains special facilities that are not seen in other castles, including lavatories, a drain board, and a kitchen corridor. Main keep has 2 pillars, with one standing in the east and one standing in the west. The east pillar, which has a base diameter of 97 centimeters, was originally a single fir tree, but it has since been mostly original. The base of the west pillar is 85 by 95 centimeters, and it is made of Japanese cypress. During the Showa restoration, a Japanese cypress tree with a length of 26.4 meters was brought down from the Kizo Mountains and replaced the old pillar. The tree was broken in this process, so another tree was brought down from Mount Kasagata, and the 2 trees were joined on the 3rd floor. The first floor of main keep has an area of 554 square meters and is often called the 1000 mat room, because it has over 330 tatami mats. The walls of the first floor have weapon racks for holding matchlocks and spears, and at one point, the castle contained as many as 280 guns and 90 spears. The second floor has an area of roughly 550 square meters. The third floor has an area of 440 square meters, and the fourth floor has an area of 240 square meters. Both the third and fourth floors have platforms situated at the north and south windows called stone-throwing platforms, where defenders could observe or throw objects at attackers. They also have small enclosed rooms called warrior hiding places, where defenders could hide themselves and kill attackers by surprise as they entered the keep. The final floor, the 6th floor, has an area of only 115 square meters. The 6th floor windows now have iron bars in place, but in the feudal period the panoramic view from the windows was unobstructed. Defenses. Himeji Castle contains advanced defensive systems from the feudal period. Loopholes in the shape of circles, triangles, squares, and rectangles are located throughout Himeji Castle, intended to allow defenders armed with Tanegashima or archers to fire on attackers without exposing themselves. Roughly 1,000 loopholes exist in the castle buildings remaining today. Angled chutes called stone drop windows were also set at numerous points in the castle walls, enabling stones or boiling oil to be poured on the heads of attackers passing by underneath, and white plaster was used in the castle's construction for its resistance to fire. The castle complex included 3 moats, one of which, the outer moat, is now buried. Parts of the central moat and all of the inner moats survive. The moats have an average width of 20 meters, a maximum width of 34.5 meters, and a depth of about 2.7 meters. The three-country moat is a 2,500 square meters pond which exists inside the castle. One of the purposes of this moat was to store water for use in fire. prevention. The castle complex, particularly the waste quarter, contains numerous warehouses that were used to store rice, salt, and water in case of a siege. A building known as the salt turret was used specifically to store salt, and it is estimated that it contained as many as 3,000 bags of salt when the castle complex was in use. The castle complex also contained 33 wells within the inner moat, 13 of which remain. The deepest of these has a depth of 30 meters. One of the castle's most important defensive elements is the confusing maze of paths leading to the castle's keep. The gates, baileys, and outer walls of the complex are organized so as to confuse an approaching force, causing it to travel in a spiral pattern around the complex on its way to the keep. The castle complex originally contained 84 gates, 15 of which were named according to the Japanese syllabary. At present, 21 gates from the castle complex remain intact, 13 of which are named according to the Japanese syllabary. In many cases, the castle walkways even turned back on themselves, greatly inhibiting navigation. For example, the straight distance from the Hishi Gate main keep is only 130 meters, but the path itself is a much longer 325 meters. The passages are also steep and narrow, further inhibiting entry. This system allowed the intruders to be watched and fired upon from the keep during the lengthy approach. But Himeji Castle was never attacked in this manner, so the system remains untested. However, even today, with the route clearly marked, many visitors have trouble navigating the castle complex. Cultural impact. Himeji Castle is frequently known as Hakuro-jō or Shirasagi-jō because of its brilliant white exterior and supposed resemblance to a bird-taking flight. The castle has been featured extensively in foreign and Japanese films, including the James Bond movie You Only Live Twice, and Akira Kurosawa's Cage Musha and Ran. In the television miniseries Shogun, it served as a stand-in for feudal-era Osaka Castle, which has lost the surrounding fortifications. In the video game Civilization Revolution, Himeji Castle is available to build as a world landmark. Lore and legend. Himeji Castle is associated with a number of local legends. The well-known Kaiden of Bancho Sarayashiki is set in Edo, but a variant called Banchu Sarayashiki is set in Himeji Castle. There is a disputed claim that the castle is the bona fide location of the entire legend, and the alleged Okiku's well remains in the castle to this day. According to the legend, Okiku was falsely accused of losing dishes that were valuable family treasures, and then killed and thrown into the well. Her ghost remained to haunt the well at night, counting dishes in a despondent tone. The legend of the Old Widow's Stone is another folklore story associated with the castle. According to the legend, Toyotomi Hideyoshi ran out of stones when building the original three-story keep, and an old woman heard about his trouble. She gave him her hand millstone even though she needed it for her trade. It was said that people who heard the story were inspired and also offered stones to Hideyoshi, speeding up construction of the castle. To this day, the supposed stone can be seen covered with a wire net in the middle of one of the stone walls in the castle complex. A folklore story is also associated with Sakurai Genbei, who was Akeda Teramasa's master carpenter in the construction of the keep. According to the legend, Sakurai was dissatisfied with his construction, feeling that the keep leaned a little to the southeast. Eventually, he became distraught and climbed to the top of the keep, where he jumped to his death with a chisel in his mouth. Visitor statistics. On April 14, 2009, the total number of visits since the Showa-era restoration surpassed 40 million. Gallery. Panoramic overview. Views from afar. Views from below. Views at night. Views from above. Views from the interior. Views with cherry blossoms.